I've spent the past 12 months trying to get to the bottom to figure out what it actually takes for a human being to transform for good, whether they have an insanely ambitious fitness goal or simply want to develop good long-term habits that make them feel incredible every single day. Because in just a couple of days, I have for 365 days straight been coaching incredible individuals through my transformation challenges, and having spent so much time with these incredible individuals and watched them transform for good, I have today handpicked the top 10 habits, mindset shifts, factors that play a massive role when it comes to lasting transformation. And in today's episode, we're breaking it down. And all I can say is that if you apply these 10 habits, or maybe even just one of them, you may just be able to start transforming your life and making it last long term. And yes, we will talk about nutrition and training, but there are 8 out of the 10 habits in here that are a little bit different as to what typically you are advised to do when it comes to reaching a fitness goal. And the first thing that I think is crucially important, or that I have seen time and time again be one of the most effective ways for people to actually figure out what they deep down want, what really truly works for them, and that is in alignment with what they want for their life, and follow through on their promises, on their commitments, and potentially even do better than what they initially had thought, expected, set their mind out to do. And that is getting a coach. I invested in a coach this year. I invested in a coach last year as well, but this year I made a big investment in a really incredible coach. And even though in our sessions it seems and feels like regular conversation, week after week, the questions I'm being asked and the responses I give him show me what I actually deep down want, how I actually could level up my life. And then through telling and expressing to him what I actually would like to do, how I actually would like to show up, and me making that commitment to him makes me show up better and stronger week after week. There's so much power in having someone be your accountability partner. And I'll get into other ways that you can have an accountability partner or a community that holds you accountable that doesn't require that big of an investment. But this life coach of mine, together with the community that I have created inside of my transformational challenges, they are the reason why I have started doing bigger, better things for me this year. It's the reason I post 2 podcast episodes every week. It's the reason that yesterday I took a dance class, which I have not danced in so long. And the reason for that is that I have so many projects that I'm in the middle of working towards right now in this moment. And I have not made dance a priority because with my current goals, it's not really aligned with any of my goals. However, when I was speaking with my coach about the fact that I haven't danced in a year, and before that I was not dancing consistently either, and me saying that I think my soul would benefit from it, but that I will sometimes in the morning feel like, oh, taking a dance class would be a good idea. But then because so many work things always come up, and then I end up prioritizing that over taking the dance class, I just hadn't been prioritizing it. But this week I committed to taking a dance class this week. And because I'd made that commitment to him, I went and took a dance class. And I could have done it anytime this week. I could have done it any day. But another reason that I did it was because inside of my community challenger group, we have the most incredible conversations. If you listen to last week's conversation, you know that we go deep and we dive into what needs to be done this coming week in order for us to actually move forward towards our goal. And something that came up this past Sunday that I'd shared with them that I had been saying to myself this past week was stick to the plan. Just stick to the plan. If you make a to-do list in the morning, just stick to the plan. And so yesterday morning, I wrote on my to-do list that I wanted to take a dance class that day. And when evening came, because it was an 8 p.m. dance class, which is so late for me, I'm typically getting ready for bed at that time, I just told myself, stick to the plan. And I'd seen all of these other of my challenger members inside of the community saying that my motto of like sticking to the plan had helped them stick to the plan. I also decided to just stick to the plan. And because of that, last night I went to take a dance class, and I cannot express to you just how much it lit up my soul. and made me feel alive and happy and joyful and just so freaking good. And that's just a little example of how many things I've been kept accountable for. My life coach was also the person, if you listened to one of my episodes a couple of weeks ago, I shared how I'd made an investment. I'd started investing monthly into something, and then he asked me about it, and I had brought up to him that I was kind of worried about this. And because I then decided to make a commitment with my coach that week, I would get my investments in order. I got it done, right? Because I made a commitment to him to get it done. And these other community members inside of my challenges, when I am their coach, helping them make a commitment, they show up for their workouts. They show up for their nutrition, the nutrition that we've spoken about. I help them with their macros and align their macros and their nutritional approach with their goals and their lifestyle. I help keep them accountable with their sleep and all of these other different areas that they want to work on. Because the beauty about having a coach, having a supportive community is that I'm not trying to get any of my clients, any of the people in my challenger groups to do anything. What I'm trying to do is figure out what they deep down want to do. And then I challenge them and keep them accountable to do that, like what they want. I'm not trying to get them to do anything specific that I want them to do. What I'm trying to get them to do is what they deep down want to do. So I'm not trying to get them to do anything other than what they actually deep down want and keep them accountable for that. And both me and my coach and me with the people inside of my challenges, every week when I'm speaking with one of the members and I can hear that they're battling something and, I need to stop late night snacking, but it's kind of hard because then you remember that my husband in the cupboard has those chips that he likes to have. And then because they're there, it's just so easy for me to go grab them. I ask them, so would you like to this week to commit to after you're done with your dinner, you do not snack anymore? And if they agree, if that's actually what they deep down want, they've looked me in my eye. Everyone else on the call inside of my transformation community have heard them say, I will not snack after my dinner this week, because that's actually what's in alignment with my goal. And because I've heard it, they've said it, and the entire group have heard this commitment that they want to make to themselves this week. It's wild what a difference that makes and how they're able to snap out of whatever bad habit, as in their belief of their bad habit, the thing that they want to stop doing because it's no longer serving them. It's wild how quickly they can snap out of it because they've made the commitment to us, to the group, to the community, that all we want for them is the best for them. All we want for them is their happiness, whatever that looks like. So because you make that commitment to someone else, you're wanting to show up. I know we're still on the first point and we'll move on in a second, but we have to remember the power of who it is that we're spending our time with. There is this saying that you are the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you're part of a community like what we have inside of my transformation challenges, if you hire a coach, or you are in environments where people don't want to see you succeed or grow, all of that will affect you, right? And I would say, even if you are in an environment currently where it's hard for you to grow, let's say within your career, at your workspace, if you have the people there who are, let's say, want you to just stay the same, but then you have a different community, maybe in your home environment, or you have a coach, or you have a community like the one that we've built over this past year that you can join, by the way. I'll put the link in the description so that we can help support you in your goals as well. If you have that, then at least you have some people around you who are wanting that growth for you, which will help you expand and evolve into this person that you want to become. Which I know if you're listening to this Challenger Gnome podcast, you are someone ambitious, someone that has goals that they want to accomplish. And the power of, even if you just want to get in the best shape of your life, if you're around people who just don't understand why suddenly you no longer want to go out and drink alcohol every single weekend, or people who are like, why do you eat vegetables when we have this pizza right here, and make you feel bad about it, it can be so helpful, like it has been for a lot of my challengers inside of my my group, having people who give you useful advice and tips on how to navigate those situations when the people around you don't understand the way that you want to live your life because you're changing, you're evolving, and they don't want to change, and they definitely don't want you to change, and they make you feel bad about it. But there are different ways to navigate that, and having people around you who understand and who are on that same page as you, it can just be really useful and helpful to help you live in alignment with what you want rather than seeking validation from the people who you are around. And because of that, not living in alignment with what you actually want for your life. And even a thing like binge eating, which we will get into nutrition in this episode as to how to go about that. But we've helped so many people who's been experiencing binge eating because it's something I've experienced in the past and something many more people than we would think are experiencing. And it comes down to grabbing food rather than sitting with the emotions that we have never been taught, learned how to work through. And so we grab food to calm ourselves rather than work through those emotions that actually need to be taken care of. And that's something we can help each other work through and solve. And we realize that when we can take control of that one area of our life, that, wow, these other areas that actually aren't valuable to me anymore, I can take control of those and change them out with better habits that actually bring me joy and actually makes me feel fulfilled and actually is moving me towards the person that I deep down want to be. Which leads us to the second topic I want to speak with you about that I have found is just the most valuable, most important aspect of changing any area of your life, whether it is getting in the best shape of your life or it's something else. It's changing our self-identity, figuring out who it is that we actually want to be. We spoke a little bit about this on the previous episode, which you can go back and listen to, about how to actually step into who it is that you want to become and not stay stuck in these limiting mindset beliefs that are negative and not serving you and not making you take action because of fear and doubt and insecurity. Because a human, I've said this so many times, but a human will always long-term act in alignment with who they deep down believe themselves to be. And so if they believe themselves to be a lazy piece of something, then even though they may get excited and create a plan and stick with it for 3 weeks, they'll never be able to continuously take that action because it's not in alignment with who they believe themselves to be. However, if they shift their identity and continuously affirm that I am a badass athlete, or I am a 7-figure business owner, or I am an incredible friend, an incredible mother, an incredible spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend. They continue to make themselves believe that to the core, and they see themselves taking aligned action. They prove to themselves that that is who they are. Then eventually that will be who they believe themselves to be, and they will be able to stick to these habits long term. That is in alignment with what they deep down want and with this new self-identity that they created. And also show up when maybe they don't feel motivated. I think that's where a lot of us fall short. It's that we get this excitement, but then when we don't feel motivated anymore, we don't show up anymore. But if it's our identity that we're 6 days a week gym goers, 5 days a week gym goers, because we're athletes, we're badass, we're in great shape, then obviously we're going to show up no matter what we feel. It's just who we are. That was the shift I made when I got in incredible shape, both with my eating and with my training. And same with my morning routine, which your morning routine / just generally journaling, I believe is one of the most powerful ways that you can shift your identity, because when it's just you and that piece of paper and maybe some journaling prompts, which you get my journaling challenges when you join my transformational challenges. And there's so many different ones to choose from because I've been making new ones every month recently. So there's so many to choose from so that you can pick the exact one that feels in the most alignment with what it is that you want to grow within right now. But when you sit down and you write down honest answers as to why you're showing up in the way that you are, why you're feeling the things that you're feeling, what it is that's been holding you back, why it's important for you to no longer stay stuck here. And you can see that from above, and it's not in your brain anymore. It's not cluttered up in your brain. You can see it from above with clear eyes. With that newfound awareness, you can then choose to reprogram, choose to change, choose to make that shift. Without awareness on something, if it's clotted up, and it's not clear, we cannot make change. But with the specific journaling prompts that I give you in my challenges, or that you can find in any self-development type of journal, because you don't need to join my challenge. There's so much available, incredible things out there that you can pick and choose from. The thing that resonates with you, just start there. Just start with whatever it is that resonates with you. But with clear journaling prompts, you can cut through the bullshit. I'm going to curse because that's what it is. I have been such a massive liar to myself, making so many excuses. And because the excuses were valid, I allowed myself to do it. And I still do in some areas. But whenever I catch the areas that I'm doing it in, have the awareness on it, then I can change it. Without the awareness of it, I can't change it. But once I get the awareness of it, I can't unsee it. When we've seen something that potentially isn't in alignment with what we deep down want, I think that the chances of us actually being willing to put in the work to make those changes is a lot bigger. And that leads us to the third point that is crucially important when it comes to making change, making a transformation, whether it's fitness related or simply just anything life related, is that you need to set clear and exciting goals. And I know it's boring to hear, so we won't stay here for long. But if you don't have direction, if you don't have clear, uber clear direction and a plan to get there, you most likely won't be going anywhere. And as we've heard many people say, if we're not moving forward, we're going backwards. When we go into the gym and we just do whatever just to go to the gym, we most likely will not make a lot of progress. But if we go into the gym with a clear goal and a clear program, which I'll share with you how I would go about working out if I was someone who wanted to recomp my body in just a moment. But if we go into the gym with a clear, structured plan, knowing exactly what we got to do and exactly what we did last week, so that this week we got to improve, we got to do better than what we did last week, I bet you'll 10x your progress. So have a goal, make it exciting. That's a good place to start, because when you have that, you can create a plan, and then you just got to stick to the plan. And that is the fourth point I want to share, is just stick to the plan. Eliminate the excuses, catch them. Just catch them when they rise. No, you don't need to go to the gym today because you've had a long day of work. Just stick to the plan. Just get going. You know you're going to feel so good afterwards. Remind yourself of how future you is going to feel when you've done it. And something that I also think is important, which you will dive deep into when you start journaling, is just like you got to catch your excuses, catch your limiting beliefs. I have had so many limiting beliefs, and I'm sure I still do. But when I catch a limiting belief, I can question the limiting belief. And if I desire, I can choose to change it. Before I started this podcast, I felt like I could not speak. I could not formulate sentences that made sense, that would in any way be inspiring to anyone to listen to, because I would not be able to formulate sentences that made sense. And yes, I still ramble a lot and I still got a long way to go. And English is not my native language. And even if it was, I still would have a long way to go. But in the years of just me and my microphone speaking out, I've made a little bit of progress. And if I hadn't been willing to become aware of that limiting belief and allow myself to realize that that's why I hadn't started a podcast, it's because I actually think I just thought I wasn't good enough. If I hadn't caught that limiting belief, I would have just continued to allow myself to believe that that was just who I was. But realizing that that was my limiting belief, I could then choose that I didn't want that to be my belief. I didn't want that to be my life, because I wanted to get good at being able to formulate sentences that made sense and think out loud. And because I caught that limiting belief, here I am, still trying to get better, but I have a podcast now. And my hope is that over the next 10 years and more to come, I'm going to continue to grow. Same when I started my YouTube channel, when I started my Instagram. Oh my goodness, I was like, who do I think I am? No one's going to want to listen to me. No one's going to want to hear my advice. I'm not good enough for that. But when I caught that excuse, that limiting belief, I could change it, and I could force myself, which is what I did. I forced myself to post every single day. Was it for a year? At least at one point, I posted every single day for a year. When I first started my Instagram, I think I did the same, as in like I posted some post every day. If you've listened to this podcast, you've probably heard me say before that I, at one point, realized that I had such fear talking on stories, like making motivational stories. And so I decided that every single day I would post a motivational story sharing something that I had learned. And through doing that, I didn't get rid of the fear, because I can still feel fearful whenever I share something, but I got better at it and my fear decreased. So becoming aware that this is a limiting belief, all it sounds like in my head when I first become aware that I have a limiting belief is like, no, I don't want to do that. No, that's not for me. No, I don't have anything to say. That's what it sounds like. But when you dive into that thought, it all calms down to Pernilla does not think she is good enough. And then once you become aware of that, then you can change it. For instance, I know a lot of females are afraid of going to the gym because they are afraid of getting judged because they don't know how to work the machines and they don't want to be looked at, all of that. Maybe your brain is just saying, I don't want to go to the gym. It's not for me. But ask yourself, what is actually the deep down root cause of that? Is it because you're afraid of getting judged? Because once you become aware that, oh, it's because I'm afraid of being judged, you can then ask yourself, is anyone really going to care? Are people not just actually focused on themselves at the gym? And what's the worst thing that can happen if I use this hip thrust machine wrong? We get a laugh. Or maybe someone sees it and then they move on with their life. What's the worst thing that can happen? Nothing, right? I mean, something, but is it really worth you not doing the thing that you deep down want to do? Whether it comes to the gym or your career, speaking up, going for some side hustle. You're afraid of what people are going to think. What's the worst thing that can happen? And what's the actual cause that you're holding yourself back? These are all things that we dive deep into inside of the journaling challenges and inside of these conversations that we have in our community. And that maybe you want to start journaling on yourself or start conversations with your friends, even if it's not something that you guys normally talk about. What if someone else would benefit from it? Even though it's not the norm, we are listening to Challenge Your Norm podcast. Even though it's not the norm in you guys' friend group, someone has to start it. Someone has to be the first person who starts talking about deeper things, growth things. You could even send them this podcast episode. That's actually really, really helpful to me. Podcasts don't grow by themselves. So the way to be discovered is if people share it. I think that's literally the way that podcasts grow. So if you do have friends that you think could find my podcast episodes useful, please share them with them. Moving on, and we're almost getting to the nutrition and workout point. But first, I want to talk about something that determines it all. That determines how you show up, how much energy you have, how good you feel every single day. And that is your sleep. Yes, you're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. It's fine. But if you listen to one of my podcasts a couple of weeks ago, I shared some studies that showed your discipline and how you showed up if you were sleep deprived, both when it comes to your nutrition and your workouts. And another study that I just heard of a couple of days ago is that they measured that people who slept for only 6 hours a night for 2 weeks straight had the same cognitive function as someone who had been awake for 48 hours. That's just wild, right? And then one of the studies that I shared in that past episode was that a person that is sleep deprived tends to eat 20 to 30% more calories in a day than someone who's well rested. So if you're someone who wants to lose weight, maybe the first thing you got to look at is your sleep. And as we know, everything just feels better when you are not sleep deprived. I have taken my sleep so much more serious over the past, especially 3 months. And I sleep more than I have for the past many years. And I feel so good. I had forgotten how good it felt when you just wake up feeling rested every single day. And before, it's not that I had an alarm and I would still go to bed early. I would just wake up so early. And I think it was due to certain stressors that I put on myself. But my new life here in Santa Monica has had already the most beautiful effects on me. I sleep here like I do when I'm in Denmark, which is a good sign, because I feel safe when I'm in Denmark and I feel safe here too. I've loved my life over the past 5 years, 6 years, however long. I've just taken rest more serious, which is just crucially important and something that is better to learn now than never. I would say I used to be too much resting at certain points of my life. And then when I found the beauty of discipline and the benefits of that, I just realized how much goodness that brought to my life, and confidence and self-respect and just joy on whole other levels. But everything in moderation. And I needed to be reminded that you also need rest, which is something I would like for you to be reminded of as well, which actually leads us to the next point, the sixth point, which is time management. I found that the people in my challenges, time management can be an issue, not getting everything done in the day that they want to get done. And there's different tools that you can use. And one of them that is very powerful and effective that I've done a couple of times, and I've shared on this podcast too before, is that you take a day and every 15 minutes or every hour, you just assess what you did in that hour, so that every single minute of the day, you know exactly what you did, how much time you spend eating, brushing your teeth, working on the important tasks, scrolling, watching TV, cooking, cleaning, showering. Like, you have a full overview. Maybe you take a full week where you write down everything. Maybe just take 3 days that are like your typical days, so that you can get a complete overview over your time management. And oftentimes what happens is we get surprised as to how much time we're spending doing certain things. When I did this a while ago, I found out that I spend so much time snacking. Like looking for snacks. Like every time a task felt a little bit uncomfortable or like, oh, my creativity kind of blanked, I would want to go grab a snack. And because I became aware of it, like I spoke about previously, when we become aware of something, we can change it. I set myself these time limits that in these next however long, maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours, maybe it's only 30 minutes, I do not get up to pee, to snack, anything until I've completed this thing. Other people, maybe they realize, oh, actually, I have my phone next to me, so I scroll. What they potentially could do is move their phone in a different room, so that when they're sat at their desk, they actually are focused. And the beautiful thing about being disciplined or setting aside time for certain tasks is that when we're fully focused on that task for only a limited amount of time, we don't have to spend the maybe 3 hours it would have taken when we would be distracted all the time. No, it suddenly takes us only 45 minutes of determined, committed focus. And then we can move on and actually enjoy our free time that we can then spend on whatever we want. Maybe you're someone who procrastinates by cleaning or having a show going in the background, and just like having clear picture of where your time is actually going. With that awareness, you can then choose to change it. Another thing is, if you're someone like me and these other people who are in my challenges, what we've talked about a lot is we want to do so many things in the day and we only have so many hours. And so it's very, very important to get clear on our priorities. What is my number one priority? What are my number 1, 2, 3 priorities, so that I focus on that? And what has to wait? What do I simply not have enough time for? Or what will I only put aside 30 minutes a day on? When we know our priorities, we don't have that inner battle. Should I do this or should I do that? Right? Everything just becomes so much clearer when we know our priorities. We've already written down exactly why this priority is more important than this other thing that we also want to do, and that we see all these people on social media doing. And there's always going to be new things that we can add to our life, right? We can always look on social media and feel bad that we're not cold plunging, going to the sauna, working out, both by running on the beach, but also going to the gym, and also having family vacations every month, and also having a podcast and posting on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok every day, and also running side hustle while having a 9-to-5 job and a social life. And it can just all feel very overwhelming when we want to do it all. So what are your priorities? What are the things you want for you? And when you're clear on your priorities, there's no more inner battling. You know what you're doing. You know why you're doing it, because figuring out your why is important as well, crucially important. And then life just becomes more easy and more enjoyable, because you can actually enjoy what you're doing rather than focus on all these other things that you want to do. Moving on to understanding your nutrition. A couple of things that I have noticed working with all these beautiful individuals inside of my challenges is a lot of us think we're eating a certain way, but when we actually become aware of what we're eating, we're not eating in the way that we thought. Whether that being that we thought we were eating 1,800 calories a day, then we start writing in our little meal plan journal what we're actually putting into our body, and it's more like 2,400 calories a day. Or it is 1,800 calories a day. Let's say if you're someone who wants to lose weight and you want to eat 1,800 calories a day to be in a slight caloric deficit so that you're losing weight. But every weekend, things happen. You fall a little off track, and it's actually on average, what you're eating is 2,100 calories, because these higher calorie weekends end up averaging out your whole week to a lot of a higher caloric average. So again, having that awareness, I feel like awareness is a common theme on this podcast episode. The awareness of what am I actually putting into my body in terms of calories. Number 2 is in terms of protein. Many individuals who join my challenges have noticed that, I'm actually not eating enough protein at all for me to reach my goals. And that's why I haven't seen any body recompositioning. Yes, I've been doing all of these workouts. I've been running marathons, but nothing has changed in my body recompositioning, which also has to do with the workout program, which we'll get to after I've completed this nutritional point of this podcast. But they notice when they become aware of what they're actually putting in their body that they need to increase their protein. So when they go through my nutritional guide, there are different nutritional approaches, and some people choose the approach which has to do with tracking and calculating macros, and I help every person who asks for me to help them do that. And when they then start increasing their protein intake, they also realize that, oh my goodness, I feel so full and so satiated. Now I almost can't eat this amount of food, and I don't have the same cravings anymore because protein, it just hits different. So your overall calorie intake, as you know, you have to be in a deficit to lose weight. That is literally it. You have to be in a deficit to lose weight. You have to be in a surplus if you want to gain weight. Maintenance calories if you want to maintain, but maybe potentially lower your body fat percentage little by little while you increase your muscle mass. And protein. Those are like basic. And something very important that oh my goodness, if you just gave yourself a week to try it. As you know, if you've listened to my podcast episode, you can go back to listen to the podcast episodes I've made on this. I tried the AIP diet, and we're not going to get into all the exact details of that AIP diet, but I literally gave up 80% of the foods that you can eat on a daily basis, and was only left with the most whole foods of whole foods, but certain whole foods I couldn't even eat. Like I couldn't eat regular potatoes. I couldn't eat any type of corn or dairy or nothing of that sort. It's not oats, like not coffee, none of that. So my diet at that time was just only whole foods and only specific types of whole foods. And it changed my gut health and my digestive system and the way I feel about food, because I felt unstoppable when I was doing that. And since then, I've been eating so much more of a whole foods diet. I did that before too, but on a whole other level. And it is wild how differently it affects not just your body, because you will feel so much more full and satiated due to the whole foods ingredients that are in the foods that you're eating, but also just your energy levels, the way that your brain functions, your energy feels, your body feels. If you could just give yourself a week of no processed foods just to try it, I think it would shift something in your future approach. And if you could give yourself a month, I would love it. I would love it for you, because I feel like a month is enough to really overcome those first weeks that are so extremely challenging, especially if you're doing something like the AIP diet. But just to really experience what happens within your body when you switch to fully whole foods based diet. I know a lot of people who are listening to this are already doing that, but some people may need to hear this today. I would say those 3 things, to keep it simple, those 3 things would be the most important thing I would share with you when it comes to what I've seen in every single person that's gone through my challenges and transformed. It's been understanding your overall calorie intake, making sure you eat enough protein to see results, to feel satiated, to give your muscles the fuel they need. And number 3, whole food based diet. Even if you're like 80% of my diet is whole foods. Oh my goodness, golden. Incredible progress. Now, when it comes to training your body, working out, we females, I've mentioned this a lot, so I'll go over it quick. We females are taught to believe that we should not lift heavy, we should lift light and do a lot of cardio because we don't want to get bulky. And let me just tell you right now that if you train hard, heavy, lift heavy, big weights. Tomorrow when you wake up, you're going to look like Hulk. You're going to be veiny. You're going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger did when he won Mr. Olympia. That's what's going to happen. That was maybe a terrible joke, but that's not going to happen. It is so hard for females to build muscle. And like I've mentioned so many times, I've talked about it so many times. The thing that makes someone look more bulky is the fat that is on top of the muscle. Yes, there are big bodybuilder women, but they've trained for 15 years and eat a caloric dense diet that makes them be able to build that amount of muscle. I weigh the same currently as I did when I didn't have a lot of muscle, and my body looks so different. I look way leaner now than I did back in the day when I weighed this weight that I weigh now. And it has to do with the fact that I'm more muscular now. Muscle is denser, smaller than fat. So even though the scale may say the same thing, if you have more muscle versus fat, you're just going to look completely different. You're going to look strong and sexy AF is what you're going to look like. So don't be afraid of lifting heavy weights, because if you want to recomp your body, build muscle, lifting heavy weights, 8 to 12 reps or even 6 to 20 reps for 3 to 5 sets, 3 exercises per body part. Unless we're training booty, we're going hard, which is what we're doing inside of my challenges. There's 4 different workout programs for this next challenge coming up. So we have literally for no matter your current fitness level, no matter the time that you have available, there's a workout program for you. And we will also personalize it to you and to your schedule. If you need any help with that, I'm there for literally, I answer anyone and everyone. And I have the best conversations with everyone that joins that wants to chat with me. Not everyone wants to chat. Some people, they just want to be doing their own thing. That's okay too. But I've made the most incredible friendships through the challenges. And yeah, we chat daily. It's the most incredible thing. So when it comes to working out, my advice is if you want to recomposition your body, number 1 should be focus on lifting. And number 2 should be cardio. If it is that you want to change your body composition, even if you want to lose weight, then yes, you should do cardio if you want to. I do cardio every day because I love it. And I love eating a ton of food. I love staying active, and it matches who I want to be as a person. And it makes me feel good every day when I do some cardio, which I've talked about in other episodes, exactly what I do. But for your body transformation, number 1 should be lifting heavy weights. Number 2, after your weight training session, should be the cardio, is what I would say to anyone who wants like a full-on body recomp. And the third thing is when you're doing weight training, follow a progressive overload training program. You want to make sure that every time you step your foot into the gym, you work harder a little bit, unless you're having like a deload week or you're about to get your period. I had one of those weeks last week and I definitely felt weaker. But every time you step your foot into the gym, the intention should be to progressively overload, progressively make yourself push your muscles past what they've previously been able to do. And there's so many incredible coaches out there. And I want you to pick whatever workout program that resonates and feel good for you. You don't have to choose mine at all. I want you to choose the one that feels like this is for me. And maybe even you want to make it yourself, or maybe you want to take a personal trainer certificate yourself. I learned so much from taking a personal trainer certificate, but I would say I learned even more through years of experimenting, both through my own body and getting both my mom, who's 57 years old. I helped her lose 13 pounds in 2 months of her doing this transformation program, literally the one that you guys are going to be doing here in my next challenge. And just learning from all the people who've been in these challenges, knowing what works for them, what doesn't work for them. I feel like as much experience as possible, the wiser you get. And I feel like it's a never ending journey of just becoming more knowledgeable and learning about all the different things that can work. Because the beautiful thing about fitness is that there's so many different ways. And so if you haven't found your way yet, trust that there is a way for you. You know, some people love being keto. Some people love being plant-based. Some people love to eat a lot of meat. And some people just want to eat normal. You know, there's so many different ways. So you just got to figure out the thing that works for you and know that there's not a right or wrong. I think that's really important. That's something I really try to make people understand when they join my challenges, is that this is the program that I'm giving you, but let's personalize it to you, because I don't want you to do what I do. I want you to have this plan. And if something doesn't work for you, let's change it. Let's switch it to something that will work for you. And no matter what plan you use, I think that's important. No matter what, thing you do. Listen to your body. Follow your gut and your intuition always, but also know when you're making excuses or when you're afraid of changing. Sometimes I've tried a new YouTube experiment diet situation and I haven't wanted to do it, but then following through and trying it, giving it a try, I've learned so much and taken away what I did find valuable from that way of living, of life, of eating, of training, whatever. And something I just quickly want to mention is that yesterday at the gym, I had a guy come up to me and touch my abs and say something about my abs. And then he said, "Oh, it's genetics." And I've had people say that to me so many times. And yes, it's true that my genetics potentially allow my body fat to not be stored on my abs. But I promise you, when I had a lot higher of a body fat percentage, my abs were not visible. And also, my abs have been visible, they've not been visible, depending on my body fat percentage. And also, the thing that came to me that I just thought was a powerful thought for me to have, I was like in my gym mindset mode. And I was like, what I would like to ask anyone that thinks that way when they see someone that's in shape is, when was the last time you think you stayed as disciplined as I am for just 3 months or a year? I've stayed disciplined, I think, for 6 years now, 7 years now, something like that. For 7 years, 7 years, I have stayed disciplined AF. Yes, there's been ups and downs and like different like phases, but just overall, I've been, compared to a normal human, I've been very disciplined when it comes to my training and my diet. Like, I've worked out nonstop, eaten healthy nonstop, with a couple of days not as healthy, but still healthy, still pretty good compared to a normal human or a normal American citizen, let's say. So if I've done that for now, let's say 7 years, yeah, because I think it was 2018 that I took my personal trainer certificate. So it's 7 years. What I've been doing for 7 years, this type of discipline, when was the last time that you've done that for 3 months or a year? Because I bet you, no matter what kind of genetics you have, unless there's actually something that isn't as it should be inside of your body, as in not like normal healthy levels, that I bet you any person that were to stick to my living, as in my eating and my training, just those two things, maybe my morning routine too would benefit them, but we'll talk about that at another time. Just my diet and my training. Anyone who were to stick to that for 3 months, who's been telling people that it's genetics, or have been seeing people being fit saying to themselves it's genetics, I bet you they would see massive changes in their body. So yes, certain genetics will store more fat on your thighs, like it does for me. Certain genetics will store more fat on your belly, some on the arms, some on the face. But when your body fat percentage lowers, when your muscle mass increases, it will eventually lower everywhere else. If I had 20% more body fat, I bet you I would not have visible abs. If I ate like the typical American, I've seen a lot of studies recently as to what their diet looks like and what is the average. And if I ate like that, I bet you those abs, they would disappear. So just a little side note on that. But moving on to numero 9, which is mindset and self-talk. How do you speak to yourself? I like to talk to myself like I am my own coach. When I catch myself saying something not nice to myself or debating whether or not to do something, I'll ask myself, if this was my client in this situation, what would I tell them? And when I ask myself that question, I know right away what to do. If I ever have not been loving or kind to myself, I'll say the same thing. And then with that awareness, I can choose to change my self-talk. I can choose to instead be loving towards myself, give myself encouragement. And something that I think is very important if you're someone who wants to transform either in your fitness, health, wellness, or any other area of your life is that whenever you accomplish a challenging task, let's say you didn't want to work out, you went to work out. After the workout, it's very, very important from like a brain stance of you wanting to show up for your next workout to give yourself positive encouragement, to say positive things to yourself, to look yourself in the eyes in the mirror and say, yeah, you did that. Look at those biceps. They're popping. You're incredible. Good job. You didn't want to go, but look at you go. You did this. Celebrating yourself a little bit. That will release dopamine. And with that released dopamine, next time you don't want to go work out, you're going to want to show up again. If you, after your workout, had said to yourself, but look at you, you're still fat. You're not getting anywhere. You suck. You weren't strong today. Next time you don't feel like showing up for that workout, your brain's going to be like, nope, the after effects of that last workout were not great. So let's just not show up. Like the motivation to show up next time is going to be decreased by a lot because you resonated with something negative. You don't resonate it with that self-positive encouragement, hyped up person version of yourself. And when you're in the midst of that challenging rep set, let's say you're doing walking lunges. We all love a walking lunges or maybe Bulgarian split squats. And you're in that final couple of reps. If you tell yourself, you got this, you can do this. Studies have also shown that you can do more than when you are just like, this feels so incredibly terrible. You'll be able to do so much more when you're your own best coach, when you hype yourself up. Just be your own best coach. Coach yourself. Think of if it was your child or if it was your client, how would you speak to them? And then start speaking to yourself in that way. Which leads us to the 10th habit that literally will help you stick to your habits when it comes to transforming your life, transforming your body. And that is something that Ava inside of our group shared today. We've talked about this before on my podcast. The way she shared it today was just powerful and beautiful. Let me read it out loud to you. Hey friends, the discussion we had in our last call with Anna about not feeling like going to the gym without pre-workout made me think about the power of habit stacking. I realized that the things that I'm more successful at are usually linked mentally together. Wake up early equals tea and journaling time, and then healthy breakfast. Going to the gym leads to shower and cooking and nutritional meal and having a coffee treat. Her desktop work leads to creatine, which is also a treat for her because she got the flavored one and thinks that's delicious. And then she writes, even when I feel like a potato, those routines are hard to break. They just flow. So I decided to pick my most challenging habit and stack them together. Example, I realized that I don't spend enough time looking at my vision board. It's right there, but it's almost invisible to me. So every morning while I'm waiting for my cat to eat, yes, another cat servant here, I will do my neck stretches while looking at my vision board. I want to give it some energy because I want all of those things to actually happen. Habit stacking is an amazing tool. And Anna, I'm sure that you found a way to replace or adjust this habit and crush it as always, which I'm sure Anna did as well because she does crush it always. I thought that was such a powerful way to explain habit stacking and how it leads us to do the things that are good for us. So I want you to think of the thing that you want to make happen and then stack it with something that naturally leads you to that dopamine release. Just like positive self-talk, maybe it's that after your workout, you treat yourself with a delicious protein smoothie if that's one of your sweet treats. After you've journaled, you're allowed to have your coffee, or maybe you're allowed to have your coffee while you journal. And because you love coffee, it becomes this incredible experience. And because of that, you're going to be more likely to actually show up every single day to do this. My friends, that was my 10 habits that I have found through this year, and 12 transformation challenges has been the most powerful tools and habits that have led to the most transformations, beautiful transformations. It is wild how we are just so fully in control of our life, and how any day we can choose to take one action that then leads to the next and to the next and to the next. And then at the end leads to a completely new life. I've seen these beautiful individuals who've been with me, many of them for a full year now. I've seen their transformations, and they are different humans, as in a higher version of themselves, a more aligned version of themselves than when I met them. And it's been so fulfilling for me to witness, and also just to get to know these beautiful people. So I hope that you can take away one of the things I shared today to transform your life, if that is something you've been eager and wanting to do within a certain area of your life. And the beautiful thing about that is also that once we take control and ownership of one area of our life, it leads us to the boldness and the encouragement and excitement towards doing the same thing in all other areas of our life. My battery is dying, so I'm going to end this episode here. If you want to join our next challenge and join our community and have conversations like these all the time, you can join our next challenge, which starts in just a couple of days. I hope you go out there and have a beautiful day. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.